Good evening. I'm PJ O'Neill, serving as branch chief for STEM training for youth programs in the Student Programs Directorate. And welcome to this month's Tech Talk, Understanding Electronic Nautical Charts and Their Uses. Tech Talks are sponsored by the U.S. Coast Guard, Coast Guard Auxiliary, and the Sea Scout program. Tech Talks are held on the fourth Tuesday of the month at 2100 hours Eastern. That's 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Our next Tech Talk will be on April 22nd, presented by Eastern Shipbuilding, who constructs the Coast Guard's offshore patrol cutters. Just a reminder that this Tech Talk is being recorded and will be posted on both the Sea Scout and AuxScout YouTube channels. Please subscribe to the YouTube channels and share with your shipmates who could not join in with us tonight. The recorded Tech Talks make for excellent training in your Sea Scout ship or your auxiliary flotilla. So again, like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the excellent, high-quality, on-demand training. If you have any questions during the Tech Talk, please type them in the Q&A box at the bottom. We will address the questions at the end of the presentation. I'd like to hand off the introduction of our subject matter expert, Ed Martin, over to Branch Assistant Hiram Ascabi. Over to you, Hiram.
Thank you, PJ, and good evening, everyone. It's a great honor for me to introduce our guest speaker tonight, a fellow NOAA retiree, Ed Martin. He received his BS from the University of North Carolina, Wilmington in oceanography and continued his graduate studies from Old Dominion University in geographic information systems from George Mason University and program management from the University of Maryland. He's also a life member of the National Eagle Scout Association. He retired from NOAA after 40 years in the National Ocean Service, which is part of NOAA, and serving the charting of the Atlantic and Gulf Coast and the Great Lakes. And after 18 years at sea, he went and managed the Nautical chart production and maintenance and new chart construction teams and manage a lot of the updating of these charts. In his last position at the National Ocean Service, he was Chief of Customer Affairs, managed National Customer Affairs Outreach Program, and the regional navigational managers who directly supported the NOAA strategic goal to provide information and tools for the U.S. completeness of these charts. Having said that, he also has, as part of the national staff and the Coast Guard Auxiliary, he belongs to the Prevention Directorate as the Division Chief of Navigation Systems and managing the private aids of navigation chart and updating and bridge administration. So he served in several flotilla and division staff officer positions and is the lead oceanography merit badge counselor for the Coast Guard at the BSA National Jamborees. And so he's also the AUX 6 Sea School coordinator responsible for the Coast Guard Auxiliary Advanced Navigation System training. So, as you can see, Ed has a broad experience in this subject. So, I'm going to turn it over to Ed. So, take it away, Ed.
Well, thanks, Hiram, and thank you, Patrick, for that wonderful introduction. It wasn't necessary, so I don't even need to show this screen. So we'll just jump right into the presentation. So you probably already know this by now, but the NOAA raster chart is gone. The paper chart, as we like to refer to it, is no longer being printed by NOAA, nor do the files exist that used to produce that paper chart. So now you're going to have to get used to another way of looking at these charts. And MFD, if you don't know what it means, it's multifunctional display. That's terminology used by recreational boaters to describe their chart plotters. Those instruments that usually are embedded in the dash, or they show a nautical chart or something that looks familiar or as a nautical chart. So the ENC files, or the electronic navigational chart files that NOAA produces, are used by these manufacturers of the MFD, of the multifunctional displays. What they do is they take those files and they can download them from NOAA for free and use them in any fashion form that they want to. But you can also view these files for free online from NOAA. And I'll talk about that a little bit later on. And and if we have time, I'll walk you through just how to do that. So what I'd like you to do is become familiar with other electronic navigational tools, GPS, AIS, global positioning systems, and automated information systems. Practice forming and using rats and tracks on these multifunctional displays. They're complete navigational tools that you can use, just like a paper chart. NOAA custom charts are another tool that is derived from the ENC files, or the electronic navigational chart files. We're going to take a look at those also if we have time, how to get those. They're still young. They're not fully, how do I put this? They're not fully functional yet. They've got some bugs in them, but NOAA is working on those, and hopefully in the near future, we'll get them updated. Not updated, but get them to the point where they look like a nautical chart. So Boat US has several videos out. One of them is a reference to the boat marine electronics articles. Tells you a little bit more about the ENCs, how they're used on various platforms or multifunctional displays. But one of the things that I'd like to impress upon you is that multifunctional displays don't meet the requirements of the Coast Guard requirements for commercial vessels, anything over 500 gross ton. That's where ECDIS, which is a completely different subject that we won't go into here, but SOLAS, safety of life at sea, these ENCs displayed on multifunctional displays don't meet nav standards for SOLAS, but they're okay for recreational boaters. They're updated. So some vendors, can create products. They can download these NOAA files for free. And then what they do is what we call product enhancement. What they do is they take the NOAA ENC and they tailor it for different users. Different products come out of it. Fishing areas are highlighted. You may see different symbology in aids to navigation or buildings, or even the water surrounding some of these areas. They tailor these products for the intended user, what they feel is their customer. So they display it differently from the NOAA ENC, or the electronic navigational chart. So chart number, some of you may be familiar with chart number 1. Chart number 1 is symbols and abbreviations for nautical charts. And it's grown quite a bit with the advent of electronic navigational charts. Because there are so many more symbols and symbology and abbreviations that are being used today that were never used before for the paper nautical chart. So it's a quite bulky, but again, if you go to the NOAA website, nauticalcharts.noaa.gov, and I've got a link to it, you can download that document for free, or bits and pieces of it. It's a PDF form. But that will tell you what all the symbology means. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that these manufacturers, they have their own cartographic symbology sometimes. And different companies will display things differently, as I said before. And that can be a little bit confusing, especially when it doesn't meet chart number 1 standards. But here again, they do it for their customers. One of the things that they can do is provide update service, which means that they will provide for cost critical corrections from the Coast Guard, from the local notice to mariners. They will provide those corrections in digital form that will appear on the ENC, on your multifunctional display, if you have the update. If you don't have the update, you're stuck with the base map, whatever you bought with the original unit. Some have gotten a little bit pricey over the years, but one thing you have to be aware of, at one time, well, for a long time, for however long the paper charts have been around, they, down at the bottom left-hand corner, you could always tell when that chart was printed. It's not that easy anymore with the ENC. You have to go to the NOAA website to see when the last edition of that ENC came out, when the last update was made to it. Other than that, some of your multifunctional displays and some of your navigational applications, and I'll show you a couple in a minute, have that capability of showing you what that characteristic or what that information is that created that particular chart that you're looking at. The base maps, the base of the nautical chart of the ENC really, for the most part, came from the paper chart. They were all digitized and turned into the paper chart. So sometimes they don't really match the real world. You may pull up to a pier and it may be looking like you're on top of the pier, when in reality, that paper chart was created with the best technology at the time, but it's a general representation. Now people are using ENCs, mariners are using the ENC to actually fly into the dock, which sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad. But they let NOAA understand that, there's an error here, and there's a link in the NOAA webpage that allows you to tell NOAA that there's an error on the ENC. We'll get to that too. So NOAA's always looking for ways to improve their product. Even with the local notice to mariners updates, they're still lacking about 1 week behind. I know it says 1 to 2 weeks, but for the most part, it's only 1 week. Local notice to mariners comes out on Tuesday. The following Tuesday, the ENC is published for download. So, or that, I'm sorry, that Friday after the Tuesday publication of the local notice to mariners, that Friday after that, the ENC is ready for download with the updates. So, but the base information like shoreline and soundings and things of that nature that aren't really critical to navigation, those are lag a little bit behind. So just keep that in mind. But the critical information, which is the aids to navigation and the aids to navigation that are changed, deleted, missing, whatever, however they're reported, those and the dangers to navigation are, like I said, at least 1 week out. So they're updated whenever whenever the local notice to mariners comes out, NOAA is on it. Okay, so I think I said some of this before, but most of the electronic nav systems are different than they look different than the NOAA ENCs, and you'll see a little bit about that a little bit later on. We put together a best practice 1-page how-to document. So I hope you get a chance to read that. It's at the end of the presentation. The ENC viewer has a wonderful how-to manual or booklet in front, and I'll show that to you also. It's, if anything, read it. It's really, in fact, that's local notice to mariners. In fact, it's really quite impressive. They've really done a lot of work on on these new objects that they're putting out. So we'll talk a little bit about the files that go into the NOAA ENC. You have to remember that ENCs are digital, and it requires a navigational program on your laptop or your tablet or your phone to turn these digital files into a recognizable chart. You can't look at these files and say, oh, well, that's a nautical chart. It just doesn't work. There are many, many, many layers that overlap to make up what we see as a nautical chart. There is also some little idiosyncrasies that you can change. Most programs will allow you to change. Everything is compiled in meters, but you can change it to feet, fathoms, whatever suits your whim. The datums, the horizontal and the vertical datums, don't usually appear on the ENC. You have to actually query the chart layer of the ENC, and most programs and and multifunctional displays will allow you to do that. Most of the chart information, if you plot out a NOAA custom chart, and I'll show you that process in a little bit. The NOAA custom chart, a lot of the notes and marginalia will appear in pages below the chart that you created. And as I said before, NOAA's interested in your corrections. This intro Boat US is a 3-minute video. Watch it at your leisure. Boat US, I said, has a lot of how-tos that I think are, pretty good information. And the NOAA ENC online chart viewer, we'll get to that. Okay. What I'm going to do is run through a brief scenario, show you just the screenshots of the pages and what some of the differences and how it appears. And once we're finished with that, then I will go into time permitting. I will go into actually getting into the system and bringing some of this stuff up, like the chart display, the NOAA ENC. Of course, chart number 1, we probably all know what that is. Historical nautical charts. If you want a copy, this doesn't appear anywhere else in the presentation, but if you want a copy of the last paper nautical chart, you can get it from the historical charts. Okay. You can download the PDF or the print on demand chart and take it to one of the chart printers that we have listed, that NOAA has listed, or you can take it to Kinko's or Office Depot, anybody that has a large 36-inch foot printer. So that's pretty easy to do. Put it on a stick and just take it to the printer. Let's see. That's all I wanted to do there. This is an example of chart 1. The descriptions, the raster chart. It still has the raster chart because there's still paper charts that are available out there. Some people are still printing them from the old files, but you have to remember that the old files, having been discontinued, they're not updated. They haven't been updated since they were last printed. So they could be quite old. So bear that in mind whenever you get one of these printed. And then ECDIS is really for the big boys. They are the electronic chart display and information systems. There has to be a dual system on large container ships, tankers, that type of vessel, so that they're backed up continually. This is just some of the different sections. Chapter P are lights. Chapter Q are beacons. Chapter S is the new satellite imagery, satellite aids to navigation, or VTS. So you're all familiar with the old raster paper nautical chart. Looks pretty clean. All the information is there. You don't have to go anywhere else. Um, the only thing about it is if you wanted to set parameters or danger areas or anything like that, you couldn't do it. You had to draw it out by hand and then make sure that you were um, following your course. You check your set and drift, your dead reckoning, everything to make sure that you were on course and staying out of the danger areas that you had listed. If you didn't do that, you could run aground or run into a hazard. So you had to do everything by hand with the paper chart. Now you don't have to. So if you want to see what an ENC looks like, they're all included. Every one of them is included in the ENC viewer, the seamless version. It appears, you'll see later on that you can see where each one is divided up and how they lay out on the waters. But it's just a compilation of every ENC that NOAA produces. If you click the gear on the side, on the left-hand side, you can change a lot of things. You can customize what you're viewing. Let's put it that way. The paper layers is just that. It just changes the way the chart looks. Instead of having the buff tint, you can have a topographic map as a backdrop. The eye, well, you can probably guess what the eye means. You interrogate whatever you're pointing at, and then a whole mess of screens open up, and you'll get lost in all the minutia that you're trying to find out what it is that you're looking at. Now, the symbology should tell you, but it doesn't give you all of the information. Sometimes they don't have the aid number. Sometimes they don't, they have the color of the light, but, is it flashing? Well, this one is. But is this a fixed light or not? All we know is it's number 2. So you have to interrogate it to understand what it is that you're looking at. And I'll show you that in a minute. So this is this little chartlet right here. I'm not pointing. The chartlet on the left is a product of the custom chart. The product on the right is the actual old paper chart. And if you look at the channels leading into the harbor, you'll see that on the paper chart, the old raster or paper chart has depth associated with those areas. On the left-hand side, you don't. And the ENC on the bottom, the little inset on the bottom, doesn't have any depths. You have to interrogate the area to find out what those what the depth units are in that little channel leading into the harbor. So if you don't do it ahead of time, you could be wondering, what's going on. So when we get into the ENC, when we look at the screen, we can customize what we're looking at with the toolbox on the left-hand side. But you can you can symbolize the boundaries, the accurate attributes or descriptions. I'll explain that one in a minute. That's going to really make that's really going to make some of us happy. I'm glad I found that. I'm glad they put that in there. The color scheme for either day or night. Compass rose if you want one. If not, turn it on or off. The data extents are usually on automatic. The data quality is usually on. Here again, you can change your depth units to feet, fathoms, or meters. Display categories. We'll talk about that when I bring it up. Cable areas. The symbology just followed chart number 1. This is one of the new virtual aids to navigation. This is a vessel traffic scheme, separation scheme, major channel going through here, left and right. Tide rip symbols, cautionary areas. Just some more, but you can see that the chart is a little different than the old paper chart. Bridge clearances. Sometimes the ENC viewer will give them to you now. They didn't used to. Caution areas, lighted beacons, cable areas, that type of thing. These indicate areas of importance. When you click on that, it'll tell you what it is. So another example, I told you if you click on the eye, you get this little arrow. And if you take it and put it over an object, a screen will pop up. And in that screen, you'll have several identifying results. And that will be that's how many screens there are. There's 12 screens in that it describes what that area line point object is. And if you don't have description turned on, if you just have acronyms, if you look at the feature, that DRGARE that you see there, that's dredged area. Now it does have a description below it, but if you turn on description, it changes that whole screen. These are what the cartographer has to go through. He has to go through 12 layers just to make one little correction on that ENC. So it can get confusing if you think about it. Just some more of that, how you can customize that ENC viewer to see, to help either clarify it or give you more information or to show you what you want to see. You can even put a compass rose on it if you wanted to. One of the big things that we have a problem with, one of the big things that after working for NOAA for 40 years, it's hard to divorce yourself from saying we. One of the things that NOAA is having problems with is actually displaying what the actual depth is in some of these areas. So that's one of the things that they are working on as we speak. Okay. So I told you about that object. The ENC viewer is made up of layers. And what makes those layers is what defines an object or an area is called S57. And there is an S57 ENC object catalog that gives you acronyms and describes those acronyms. So if you just Google S57 ENC object catalog, you'll get several hits, and whichever one is easiest for you to understand. Gives you the acronym, and then it'll give you the definition. But most of the time, the description is below. Sometimes it's not. When you go to a screen, when you toggle left and right on these on the identifying results, and that top little blue line, if you click on the right screen, of course, you'll see 13, 14, and 15, and so on. And then that corresponds with an area that is highlighted in light blue or teal or whatever you want to call that color. And that color, that area, is what that particular identifying result is, that dredged area in that top left-hand slide is referring to. The M quality is basically the data quality. And next slide I'll show you has a little printout of what the quality features are. Basically, it's just the surveys and the information that are used to compile that area. How reliable is it? Or what the quality is of that data that went into providing the information that is portrayed. Same with a very large area. And that's the zones that you'll see. Actually, you won't see this, but these are the categories. When you look at that previous slide, zone confidence on the bottom, on the two bottom insets, you'll see zone confidence B, zone confidence C. Well, that means that 2005, the depth, it's accurate, 2%, accurate, 2%. C. Position accuracy, 50 meters, 500 meters. So the quality of the data is explained in these zones of confidence. So now that you understand all of that, you've got your multifunctional display in front of you, and you've hooked up your radar to it, your X-band radar, and you've put in you've got AIS on your chart plotter or your multifunctional display, and you have your MMSI number logged in, and you're going down the river or the lake, or in this case, the bay, and or going up the bay, I should say. You come across an item like a Raycon lighted buoy, and and that's the return that you get from that signal that buoy is putting out. AIS that are on other boats, if you put your cursor over that boat, guess what? Your AIS will tell you what that boat is, who it is, and give you all sorts of information about that boat. Of course, your radar returns from land and things like that will show up. But a lot of people are now using AIS to go up and down the river to navigate with. Just another look at a different application. This one just happens to be a Garmin chart. I personally prefer Garmin, but you may prefer Raymarine. This one is Raymarine. That's their ENC on a multifunctional display. This one is, like I said, a Garmin, and that is from a tablet. That is not from a laptop or from a multifunctional display. Most of you probably are aware that ENCs can be used in electronic equipment like a laptop or a computer or a cell phone or a tablet. Now, to use it in a multifunctional display, you're going to have to download it to your laptop, plug in your chip chart, update it with the software of the company that manufactured your multifunctional display, and then plug it back into your display, your chart plotter, and now you've got an updated chart, but you're going to pay for it also because another version of a tablet app. I don't know what this one is. I got this slide from someone else. But here again, the displays are completely different. But some of the tools, marker tools, edit tools, are the same. And the display of your aids are a little bit different. If you notice, some of the things have changed and some things have disappeared. To the right of the screen, the fish obstruction, fish haven has disappeared, as have some of the fish symbology that are at the bottom. Some of the aids have disappeared. There's an aid down at the bottom where the GR is, and that's disappeared. So, and the restricted area is missing as well. Then there are those tabletop apps that allow you to plot a course either automatically or directly. And this one just happens to be one of those automatic courses. So you put in a start point and an end point, and it'll compute, the program itself will compute a based on a track line for you based on the input of your vessel. What your draft is, what your mass clearance is, your height or your air draft, how fast you're going or how fast you intend to go, and where you want to go. Now you can edit that. You can go in and edit those like most people do, or make sure that you're not going to run aground. Another cool thing about these applications that are out there today are the tides and currents that are provided. Again, it's NOAA's information, and the companies that are producing these things are able to, incorporate them into their products, which I think is great. Now, what you see at the top is an actual NOAA product, but down at the bottom, the manufacturer has simplified it a little bit, and the same for the application on the side. AYE Tides app is the name of the program that this person used to get that information. So you may want to check that out at a later date. Again, this presentation is available for you to download and take a look at. Okay, tools. Of course, we have GPS, we have WAS, good positioning depending on the position error. They're inexpensive, but all of these things, GPS, GNSS, which is global. We used to say it's Russian, but it's really the GLONASS is the Russian. Galileo is European. The GPS is US. Most of these all depend on one thing: line of sight. If you're in a if you're in a valley or someplace that you can't see outside, like a fjord or something like that, seep walls, all of these systems tend to get a little quirky. Some of them don't even work. I've been in the woods fly fishing and had quite a deep ravine, and neither side I lost track of where I was. I knew where I was, but I was following the river, but the GPS lost its signal. I like to when I walk or when I take trips or things like or go hiking, I like to take my GPS with me and make sure that I know where I am at all times. So that's about the only limitation with electronic positioning systems. Of collision avoidance is a big thing for AIS. It's a big plus. ATONs, we're getting something new. If you're not familiar with this, which I bet you've all heard about these, but the aids to navigation, federal aids to navigation, are coming out with real ATONs, aids to navigation, where obviously they're physical on site. Synthetics are basically AIS equipped, but they put out a signal like that one that I showed you before with the radar return, the da dit da. That was a synthetic AIS ATON. That one would that one would give you a signal, and it would also be on station. Whereas the virtual aids to navigation, there's no physical aid there. And, if you're looking for something, you're not going to see it. But if you have MMSI, then you're going to see it. So that's probably all that you need to know about those. So now let's get into the custom charts. Okay, this is what a custom chart would look like. All right, it looks much like a paper nautical chart, but you've created this. You yourself have created the border or the outline just by drawing a box on the screen of the area that you're interested in. This is what you'll be using, the NOAA custom chart panel. There's only there's 5 panels at the top. 3 of them are the only ones that you'll use, really. But I encourage you, if you're even in the slightest bit interested in anything for this quick start guide, the user guide, there's a custom chart video. I think it's the one that NOAA put out, and you've probably seen it before. Updating custom charts. Again, these are help screens, help videos, and documents that will really make it more enjoyable, because sometimes it gets kind of hard to understand some of this new technology. Again, we've got landmarks. You don't get the channel or the dredged area information. And the shoreline is the same as an ENC. So some of it's generalized. It's not as accurate as, well, it's accurate, but it's not as crisp as a paper nautical chart. Again, just generalized shoreline and no depths in the channels. But that's just a function of the custom chart. That's a function of the ENC information, which is what is used to construct this paper product. And you have all kinds of print options. One of the last things that I'm going to talk about, I don't know how much time I have left.
We have just a few minutes, Ed.
Okay. I just wanted to talk to you about the local notice to mariners is now in a different format. Marine Safety Information Products. If you go to the NavCen Navigation Center webpage from the Coast Guard, they will, by all means, give you a great intro as to how to use this information. Like I said, the local notice to mariners has changed, and you're going to have to, basically relearn how to read a local notice to mariners, which is very important if you want to keep your nautical charts up to date, or make sure that your ENC is up to date. So the NOAA Office Coast Survey, NOAA predicted tides, predicted currents, and the Navigation Center are the websites that people will want to use. And everything can be had from nauticalcharts.noaa.gov. And the last slide is that best practice electronic charts. Read it at your leisure. And that is it for that. I would like to okay. Office Coast Survey. This is let's go back to here. I'm just going to go through the ENC viewer because I don't want to take up any more of your time. So the ENC viewer, if you come to the NOAA webpage and click on NOAA ENC viewer, that's the screen it'll take you to. You want to zoom into an area that you're interested in. I just picked this one. If you come in here, you zoom in. This is entrance to Norfolk Hampton Roads. This is the layer list. If you wanted to see it, it's an ENC. If I wanted to change it, miscellaneous symbol boundaries, the acronyms, I want to change that to descriptions. I want the day. I don't really want a compass rose on an ENC. How are you going to use the compass rose on a multifunctional display? Data extents are usually left at automatic. Quality, let's turn that on. Let's turn the depth. Now, if you watch the soundings, they're in meters. They're always in meters whenever you open this up. I'm going to change them to feet. Okay, did you see it? You notice that they all changed to feet. The display categories, display the base, the standard, the other, display frame text, off, upper left, the horizontal Skaman. That's the lowest scale. Skaman stands for lowest minimum scale that things will appear. All data sets, you can do an overview, you can do general, coastal, approach, harbor, berthing charts, isolated dangers on or off. If I turn isolated dangers on, if I turn that on, those are all the isolated dangers. You can't even see anything. So let's turn those off. These are all isolated dangers. You've already got them on the chart. Why do I want to turn them on? So, navigational names, optional deeps, soundings. I want it to look like a paper chart. I can simplify it if I want to. It'll take a lot of that detail out of there. Shallow patterns, 2 colors. I can change it to different shades. And then, of course, all of these are lit. You can turn them on or turn them off if you want to. If I wanted to interrogate something, this is where I was going to go earlier. Okay. I hit the eye. I want to find out what this symbology is for this VAIS symbol right dead center of that chart. I come over here to marine identify. I click on that. It highlights it. I come back to the VAIS. I click on that. and I get one of 8. I want more information, and you get all of this information. This is what's included in that. This is just part of what's included in making up that symbol for the nautical chart, for the ENC that you see in front of you. There's another layer. You saw this little, the little teal line around the shoreline open up. And it just explains that entire area that is covered. It's all a restricted area. This is Norfolk, so it's a naval base. If I kept on going, it just keeps on telling me the quality of the data. Some of it's unknown. Keep on going. It tells me that I'm in the IALA B. You know, there's IALA A and IALA B. IALA A is all of Europe, Asia, Pacific, Atlantic, South America. IALA B is the United States and some of the islands and things of that nature, Pacific. So it tells me what the system of these aids are. If I want less info or more info, I keep on going. You see these lines open up. Depth area, depth range between 5 and 9. But if you notice, that's in meters. That's all in everything. You have to be able to convert back and forth. Most of what's written is in meters. Heights are in meters. So you just have to keep that in mind. Coverage, that type of thing. So there's a lot that you can get from the NOAA's ENC. The custom chart, let's just switch over to the custom chart now. If you take a look, custom chart looks a lot like the ENC viewer with all the chart outlines and everything. Here again, you've got the quick start guides. Please use them. These are the symbols that you're going to be using. The layers, again, the data extent is on data extent. If you just stay with the basics, the scale, the chart scale, you can turn it on. You can do it the scale of the chart that you're looking at, or the chart and scale. General coastal approach, you can define what type of information that you're looking for, how detailed the information that you want. And then you can go to the next and give it a name. Give whatever you want to do a name. It usually defaults to this scale, 1 to 22,000. It gives you a default page size. It's 22 by 34. The orientation is always, it usually comes out as portrait, but you can change it to landscape. You can set the chart units, feet, meters, fathoms, and feet. Depth zone, you can tell it 4 depth zones, 5 depth zones, whatever, 1 depth zone, it doesn't matter. These are all things that you can tell it what you want it to do. Then you can set warnings. Wow, I don't know what I just did, but I did something. Um, you can set a shallow, you don't want to go into anything shallower than 5 feet, safety zone, or a depth zone. And then you want to create a chart. Well, once you create a chart, there we go. It takes a while. So I'm not going to do it because it takes a while. But what I did do is once you're finished with all of this, the layer settings, uh, you know, came up. I don't want to add a compass rose, not for the size of chart. And then open chart catalog, that's the one that you just created. I did custom chart one, open. I open it and it sits there and it thinks for about 5 minutes. And it took it about 5 minutes to compile all of the data from all of the ENCs. And it came up with this particular chartlet. I call it a chartlet because it's not a full-blown chart, but this is what it came up with. And again, you see all of the marginalia and then the notes. This is, you remember that one slide, the confidence areas. This is what tells you what the data quality of some of that information is. And then additional notes and that go along with that chart that used to be printed on the chart, but now because it's a product that you've created, they just take all that information and they append it to your product, and that's pretty much all there is to that. I really like this. It's going to be really nice when they get it completed, but it's really not. It's still we're playing. Noah is still playing with it, so it's not really ready for prime time, but it's getting close. It's getting closer every day. So it really gives me hope that it's going to happen. When we started, there again, I keep on doing that. I'm sorry. When Noah started the projects for digitizing the nautical chart, and we knew that we were going to go to the ENC. We said that there's going to have to be a way to make a paper product out of it, and the vendors that were supported by the paper chart also said that that's what they wanted. So this is what's happening with this product, with the custom chart product. And I was going to show you what, well, maybe I can. Can you see? Oh, no, you can't see that. And you can't see that. Oh, I know. All right. Bear with me 1 second. I stopped sharing. I want to share. I just want to do two things. There's two programs that are out there that I use on my laptop. Share. This is going to be real quick. There we go. All right. Okay. This is, I'm sure that you've heard about OpenCPN. This is what OpenCPN looks like. If you're not familiar with it, this is what it appears like. You've got your toolbars over on this side that you can on the left-hand side, you can move those around. Um, this, I like OpenCPN and I like Rose Point because those two programs allow me to download the NOAA ENC directly from NOAA. And I don't have to go through a third-party vendor. And that allows me to make sure that I've got the latest information available. If I go in and I do an object query, this is one of the bad things about this program. It when you do an object query, this is OpenCPN. When you do an object query, it takes up the entire screen and you lose track of where you are. And that's kind of, I feel that that's kind of bad. I'd much rather have it on a screen on the side. But here again, there's all your information. Instead of those little blocks that you get with the chart viewer from NOAA, you get a little bit easier to understand. I wonder if this one will open. No. Okay. And the one program that I really like, bear with me. Okay, this was OpenCPN. And of course, when you zoom in or zoom out, you know, you gain detail or you lose detail. But that's with everything. Okay, stop sharing. Share. Okay. Coastal Explorer. Share. This is the last thing I'll show. Okay. So there we go. The same light. Bear with me for 1 second. So I've got objects and chart. If I go over to chart, it tells me what chart it was. The only problem with this program is it gives me the ENC number, but it also gives me the last edition of the paper chart, which doesn't really help me all that much. But it tells me when the base chart was compiled. It doesn't tell me when the last update was made. The object that I'm looking at, if I go into the object query, if you look, you get a little object note here, and then over on the side, you get a complete description of what it is that you're looking at. If you want more information, another screen will pop up. So, and again, you've got all of your controls. You can download. I like this because you can download NOAA ENCs. It'll download the rasters, what rasters there are. You can change your charts, vector charts, if you've got them downloaded into the system. Of course, all this stuff is extra add-ons. You can download all of this stuff. But the one thing I like about this is NOAA ENCs are free, and you can download them into this and do your voyage planning with this program. Of course, zoom out, you lose detail, you zoom in, the more detail you get. And with that, I am open for questions.
All right, Ed. Well, thank you for your very thorough walkthrough on your displays showing several different types of multifunctional displays like the Garmin, and walking us through NOAA's site through the ENC viewer and the custom charts, and sharing Open CPN and Rose Point for those of us that are not familiar with it. I think there was a lot of helpful information here, and besides how to use the chart as a boater, I'm looking at kind of tips that you've pointed out while using these charts to avoid mistakes. There will be some participants or viewers that are coming into boating, and so they'll be starting off with ENCs. But if you're coming from the paper chart world, it's good to know why I can't see the depth in a channel, or that the bridge height is in meters if you have a particularly tall mast or something like that. So, there is a lot in this presentation that is very helpful to the boating community. So thank you very much. And I think it's safe to say, after the many years you gave to decades that you gave to NOAA, it's completely forgivable to say we, even though you don't officially represent the agency anymore.
I still fly the flag.
Of course. All right. Well, thank you very much, Ed. Excellent, thorough presentation. And I hope everyone out there is able to join us next month, April 22nd, for Eastern Shipbuilding, who is the contractor building the Coast Guard's offshore patrol cutters. Have a good evening, everyone.